the sword!
And they're gone, see?
Drop!
And their dogs are gone!
Drop out! Police officer, stop!
The man was Marcus Monzo, a crazed samurai sword-wielding killer who hacked a 4-year-old boy to death on his way to school and injured 4 others, shouting that he was releasing his soul, all in just 38 minutes. The attack took place on a normal morning in a quiet residential area in Hainault, East London, and sent terror through the UK. But what turned Marcus Monzo, a quiet man who loved cats and martial arts, into a silent killing machine? Was it drugs? Was it a spiritual ritual? Or was a hidden murderous personality awakened deep inside his head? Join us on this chilling journey and discover every crazy moment in the case that the whole UK will never forget. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the most haunting true crime videos. Marcus Monzo, born in Brazil in 1988, moved to the UK in 2013 and settled in Newham, East London. In the eyes of his neighbors, Monzo was a quiet, reserved man with no serious criminal record and a particular love of martial arts. But behind that gentle exterior was an increasingly warped mind, silently sliding into darkness. Monzo had participated in spiritual journeys to India and the Amazon, where he used ayahuasca, a powerful psychedelic tea that can cause long-term mental disorders. Since then, he believed he had a mission in a battle between light and darkness. His family had witnessed him mumbling to the air, referring to voices in his head, and even claiming to have a murderous personality living inside him. Nearly a month before the attack, Marcus Monzo had ordered 2 authentic Japanese swords, worth more than £400 from a shop in Japan. When they arrived, Monzo filmed the opening of the box as a religious ritual, calling it a ninja thing, an expression of excitement, as if he had just been given a weapon for a sacred mission.
And this just came through the post. And this is very ninja stuff. Wow.
He made no secret of his fascination with sharp weapons and regularly practiced slashing and stabbing in his small room. Monzo also prepared for the day of action by killing and dismembering his pet cat, Wizard, a cold, emotionless ritual, as if rehearsing for the next bloody performance. That morning, he packed the swords into his Ford Transit van, along with his air gun backpack of clothes and the dead cat, and drove 90 minutes to Hainault, East London, where he chose to make the battleground. Marcus Monzo drove the car straight into Mr. Donato Iwi, a local resident, walking along the road. Knocked off the road, Mr. Donato still thought it was an accident and staggered over to help. But when the car door opened, the man opposite him did not show any panic or apology. On the contrary, Marcus Monzo coldly stepped out with a Japanese sword in his hand, looked straight at him, and declared, "I want to kill you." Just 3 minutes later, at 8:53, a few dozen meters away, Daniel Andrin, a 4-year-old boy, was walking to school with headphones on, unaware that a killer was approaching from behind. A witness standing nearby tried to shout a warning, but Daniel did not hear. And then Monzo rushed forward, swung the sword, and slashed the boy's neck. The slash almost decapitated Daniel, causing him to collapse onto the sidewalk. When the boy was lying motionless, Monzo did not stop, continued to stab the victim deep into the chest, blood spreading all over the road. No witness at the scene dared to approach. Many screamed in horror.
He just killed that boy. He just killed him.
It's here.
Drop it! And they're gone, see?
Drop!
And their dogs are gone!
Drop it!
Immediately, emergency calls poured into the 999 switchboard. Minutes later, at 8:56, as paramedics were approaching the scene, Monzo returned, attacking the ambulance, forcing the paramedics to retreat in panic. He then turned on the police, slashing a female officer, leaving her scalp ripped open and her arm bones exposed. In the chaos, he continued to flee. At around 9:00 a.m., Monzo slipped into a crowded residential area, climbed over walls, jumped over fences, and broke into the home of a resident named Henry, where his wife, husband, and young child were sleeping. He entered the bedroom and asked in a harsh voice, "Do you believe in God?" Without waiting for an answer, Monzo swung his sword, nearly cutting off Henry's hand, as he tried to shield his wife and child with a pillow. Blood splattered all over the bed. In the chaos, he escaped through the back door, continuing to run along the small paths and back gardens of adjacent houses. At around 9:20 a.m., the police had sealed off the entire Hainault area. A witness reported seeing a man covered in blood climbing on the roof, still holding a sword. Immediately, the special forces expanded the siege, sweeping every block of houses, every corner. Asterisk. At 9:28 a.m., after 38 minutes of extreme tension, the police discovered Monzo hiding behind a fence, his eyes vacant, his hands still clutching the bloody sword. When asked to surrender, he did not say a word, only mumbled nonsense, seemingly still in a hallucination. As officers approached, Monzo suddenly raised his sword as if to make a final stand. A police officer promptly fired a taser, causing him to collapse to the tiled ground, ending a 38-minute manhunt, one of the quickest but bloodiest raids in London in 2024. Immediately after subduing Marcus Monzo, police began to review all the data on the scene to accurately reconstruct his crime scene. Within hours, a series of security cameras, CCTV, from roads and houses around the Hainault area were extracted and urgently analyzed. A camera in front of a house recorded the horrifying moment when the van driven by Monzo drove straight into Mr. Donato Iwi. Then he opened the door and stepped out holding a Japanese sword, just seconds before swinging it at the victim's neck. A ground floor hallway camera from another apartment captured Monzo climbing the wall, jumping over the fence, covered in blood. His eyes dazed, the sword still clutched tightly in his hand. In particular, a doorbell camera at Mr. Henry's house captured the terrifying moment a scream rang out. "Do you believe in God?" Right before the screams and the sound of collision echoed in the house, that was when Monzo attacked the man while the whole family was still sleeping. When comparing the time and travel data, the police determined that all the attacks took place consecutively in less than 30 minutes in a small arc of less than 300 meters. This was not a sudden outburst of anger. It was a calculated act with a clear goal and a blind determination to kill. The investigation and arrest of Marcus Monzo was quick. The murders began at 8:50 a.m. on the 4th of April 2024 and ended just 38 minutes later at 9:28 a.m. in the Hainault neighborhood of East London. During that short period, Monzo left behind a series of horrific scenes with 5 victims bleeding. When he was arrested, police seized 2 Japanese swords with blood on their blades, an air gun, and a backpack containing personal belongings, and a dissected cat, suspected to be part of a pre-crime practice session. In June 2024, just over 2 months after the massacre, Marcus Monzo was formally brought to trial at the Old Bailey, the main criminal court in Britain, where the most serious crimes are tried. The entire nation watched the trial
to recognise your mental ill health and previous good character to 40 years. From that, I have to deduct the number of days already served. Therefore, the sentence I pass for count 2, the murder of Daniel Angelin, is life imprisonment with a minimum term of 38 years and 309 days.
not only because of the brutality of the case, but also because of the defendant's bizarre psychological profile. A man who claimed to be possessed by a killer spirit, the prosecutor opened by reconstructing the entire bloody journey of Marcus Monzo. From deliberately driving into pedestrians, nearly decapitating young Daniel Andrin, attacking police breaking into a house, and seriously injuring a father in front of his wife and children, the evidence presented in court left little room for doubt about the defendant's crimes. Security cameras clearly recorded the moment Monzo attacked the victim with a sword. Bloodstains collected at the scene matched the DNA of the victims. Live witnesses, from police medical staff to the public, all gave consistent testimony. And most notably, the physical evidence included 2 blood-stained Japanese swords, an air gun, and the dissected body of a cat. A gruesome ritual that revealed the preparation for the massacre. The defense argued that the defendant was mentally unstable. They argued that Monzo was no longer able to distinguish right from wrong at the time of the crime, that he was heavily influenced by the hallucinogen ayahuasca, which he had used many times in spiritual ceremonies while traveling in India and the Amazon. The defendant also repeatedly spoke of a mission to free the soul, a killer personality, and clearly showed signs of multiple personality disorder. However, the medical examiner rejected this argument. They affirmed that Monzo was completely capable of controlling his behavior and that he had planned it deliberately, from buying weapons, choosing a time when there were many people, to moving reasonably to cause maximum casualties. One of the most shocking pieces of evidence was a video recorded by Monzo himself.
How can I not rush in? Look at this.
In which he opened a Japanese sword box with an excited face, muttering, "This is handmade in Japan. Took more than a month to reach me. Time to kill." The prosecutor asserted in court, "This is not a paranoid person. This is a killer who has carefully prepared for a premeditated massacre, coldly, ruthlessly, and without the slightest remorse." After more than 10 days of intense debate, the jury took less than 3 hours to reach a final verdict. Marcus Monzo committed a crime with intent of an exceptionally serious nature. All arguments about a complete loss of control due to mental illness were rejected by the court. The court determined that Monzo was fully aware of his actions, from preparing the weapon, choosing the time to attack, to intentionally causing maximum damage in the shortest amount of time. This was a series of organized, cold, and inhumane actions. The sentence list was read to the court as a stern statement of justice. The defendant, Marcus Monzo, 35, of Newham, East London, was convicted of a series of serious offenses: intentional murder of 4-year-old Daniel Andron, who was brutally murdered on his way to school; 3 counts of attempted murder of Mr. Donato Awi, a passerby whose neck was slashed; of a policewoman whose head and hands were attacked while on duty; and of Mr. Henry, the homeowner, whose hand was nearly severed in front of his wife and children. Armed trespass; possession of a dangerous weapon in a public place, including 2 Japanese swords and an air gun. Each count was a testament to the defendant's brutality, cold-bloodedness, and danger. And altogether, it amounted to a sentence the harshest in recent years. The judge emphasized, "If the defendant had no mental illness, I would have considered a sentence of life imprisonment without parole. However, taking into account his clean criminal record and clinical psychological assessment, I have reduced the sentence to 38 years and 309 days. This remains one of the harshest sentences in the decade and is entirely proportionate to the cruelty and danger he poses to society." The verdict was delivered in a heavy silence in the courtroom, as a sentence for not only a person but also for the horror he has sown in the community. The massacre on the morning of the 4th of April 2024 not only took the life of a good teenager, but also caused deep damage to many families, the community, and society as a whole. The family of Daniel Andron, the 4-year-old boy who was brutally murdered, was almost completely devastated. Daniel was the only child, a good student, obedient, dreaming of becoming a doctor. But that dream ended in a cold-blooded moment, just because he wore headphones on his way to school. Mr. Donato Iwi, who survived the slash to the neck, now has lifelong psychological trauma, unable to go out without fear. The policewoman who was attacked, a woman who was once awarded for bravery, is now unable to continue her job and still has to recover from a severed tendon in her right hand. And Mr. Henry's family, with a 4-year-old daughter who witnessed her parents being attacked in the dark night. The nightmares still repeat and will stay forever. The entire Hainault residential area, a place that was once peaceful, is now known as the site of one of the most savage attacks in Britain in a decade. The Marcus Monzo case is the ultimate warning about the dark corners of the human mind. Sometimes the killer does not come from the darkness, but from the apartment next door, still greeting each morning. Marcus was not a bad guy, had no criminal record, was not on a watch list, but he became a walking nightmare, all because of his mental health neglect, the obsession of being raised in solitude, and the lack of timely intervention from those around him. This is also a terrifying reminder of how easy it is to own a sharp weapon, and the unpredictable dangers when a normal person indulges in hallucinations, extremist teachings, or the feeling of having a special mission. The case ended with a harsh sentence, but the invisible cuts in the community's psychology will last for years. 38 years. Is it enough to redeem the life of a 4-year-old child and the obsession of 4 families? If Marcus Monzo had received psychiatric treatment sooner, would the massacre have happened? How many more Marcuses will there be in society? If we continue to be silent about the strange voices in someone's head, a sword, an innocent teenager, and a seemingly peaceful morning turned into hell in the heart of London. If you believe the truth needs to be told, if you think tragedies like this should not be forgotten, then take action. Now subscribe to our channel to join us in the true cases that shocked the UK. Like the video if you think this story deserves to be spread. Leave a comment. Do you think 38 years is enough to atone for the blood of a child and the pain of an entire community? And don't forget to share this video to alert more people to the potential dangers around, sometimes coming from the most seemingly ordinary people. We tell real cases, not to spread fear, but to awaken awareness. Thank you for watching. See you in the next UK true crime videos.